Well, it sounds like Howie Roseman's been making calls non-stop, but despite acquiring Kevin Byard from the Titans, new reports suggest he has another AFC South Pro Bowler in his sights. Although the Broncos have All-Pro Patrick Surtain on the trade block, so how much would that cost? Let's talk about it. But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? Alright, I know we're all looking to get a Super Bowl ring this year, and now you can, with former Eagles linebacker Nigel Bradham auctioning off his Super Bowl 52 ring for the low price of $28,000 the last time I checked. So if you happen to have the cash laying around, go for it. Although the auctioning company says it was issued to the family of Bradham, so I guess maybe it's not his actual ring. Still looks pretty sweet though, and hopefully the guy who was a vital piece during our championship run is doing okay. But speaking of the championship run, I think it's a given that we want to relive the mummer suit with Jason Kelce. Of course, the acquisition for All-Pro safety Kevin Byard definitely helped those odds. And Sexy Batman couldn't be more excited.
I've talked to guys on the team, including A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, have played with him in Tennessee, and let me tell you, everybody's fired up that this guy's joining the team, which is making me fired up because I like good players and good teammates. So,
all right now.
Yeah, I'm fired up. And listen, if we accomplish anything this year, we are going to have to send the nicest of thank you cards to the Tennessee Titans for A.J. Brown and now Kevin Byard.
I think that's a given at this point. Rand Carthon and the Tennessee Titans clearly deserve at the very least a thank you card. I mean, this couldn't have worked out any better, especially when you look at the size and physicality the mayor brings. That's Kevin Byard's nickname, by the way. But it's looking likely that he'll be matched up against the skilled tight ends Philly's got left on the schedule in Kansas City's Travis Kelce, Buffalo Bills' Dalton Kincaid, San Francisco's George Kittle, as well as Darren Waller in New York. And you really know it's a good trade when Travis admits he isn't looking forward to the matchup with the mayor.
What you're really getting is a physical player, smart player, and that's always good at the safety position. Guys that understand zone coverages, that understand run game fits, and just a guy that's not going to be out of position. He's always going to be there to make the play, strong tackler, and honestly, he's really one of the biggest he's one of the bigger safeties kind of left in the game. He's not a small dude, and he's still very athletic and can run with you. So, it took us in overtime to beat the Titans last year, and I remember every single down that I had him man-to-man, and he made it tough on me, man.
Look, I think everyone realizes how great of an addition this is to the roster. And man, was it nice to get a first look at him repping the Eagles colors, returning back home to Philly where he's from, and continuing to learn the playbook as well as leaning on some of the staff, and like he mentioned, Reed Blankenship, who was a full go at practice. So we can now say that we'll officially get a look at our Middle Tennessee State safeties. At this point, I don't know where the weakness is, or at least no major weaknesses anyway, so surely Howie's done at this point, right? Not exactly, at least according to former Falcons GM Thomas Dimitroff.
Well, I don't think they're done. He didn't allude to anything like that, but he did say, again, this is something they keep their eye on, and that's his job. He's not out there worrying about game planning, as you know. This is about trying to make the best for this team, and I think the way that he does it, and there's all kinds of calls around, right? As GMs, we're always making calls, Kate. We're reaching out to people saying, hey, do you have anyone? And especially teams that are looking to increase their draft stock, right? Some of the teams out there that I'm sure we could talk about who are looking for increased first-round picks or don't have first-round picks, they're out there desperately seeking what may be available. Howie obviously is in a different situation. He's about making headway on being the best trader in sport right now, and that's what I believe he's doing, as I mentioned earlier.
Come on, you really expect me to believe we're going to get even better? I guess to be fair, that's not the only report corroborating that line of thinking, with The Athletic's Diana Rossini recently reporting on Ryan Russillo's podcast that Howie's not done pursuing players ahead of the deadline, saying, I've talked to tons of teams around the league, and they're like, yeah, Howie is calling, of course he's calling, adding, Howie's not done, by the way. Plus, let's not forget Rossini's plugged in on the Birds affairs, writing just before the Eagles pulled the trigger on Byard that Philly was vigorously working to get a safety. And okay, yeah, we all realize the reason Howie's so good is because he never stops, but I guess the question is, if he is searching for a player, who are we talking about? Now, I've seen some reports tying Titans running back Derrick Henry to the Birds, so yeah, let's get Rand Carthon back on the phone.
Fool me once, strike one, but fool me twice, strike three.
All right, no, that's not happening. There's no way. The next time Rand gets a call from Howie, he's going to be running like Landon Dickerson in the opposite direction. Plus, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I honestly don't think King Henry is the best fit in this offense.
I like you.
Okay, hold on. I'm not saying Henry wouldn't be successful. It just seems like he does best when he can get a full head of steam, and that's not easy to do when we run from the gun most of the time. But could offensive coordinator Brian Johnson figure out a way to make it work? Maybe? Sorry, I know that's not the best answer, but you guys know I'm with the majority in not being sold on BJ yet. Although getting back to the Howie's not done story, recent reports have suggested he's looking to bolster Sean Desai's side of the ball more than anything else. And with NFL insider Albert Breer reporting the Broncos are taking calls for All-Pro corner Patrick Surtain, the narrative soon changed to, can Howie trick Denver GM George Patton?
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
Look, as good as Howie is, it's unfortunately not that easy, with a more realistic trade for Surtain probably being in the range of what SI's Connor Orr suggested, where the Birds give up a 2024 first-round pick, 2025 first-round pick, and a 2025 third for the 23-year-old. But I don't know, that's pricey. Okay, sure, of course you're going to pay a premium for arguably the best cornerback in the league, who made first-team All-Pro last season, and there's no doubt at 6'2", 200 pounds with the physicality he plays with that he'd fit in perfectly. It's just that I can't see Howie giving up that much to bring in Surtain. But hey, maybe I'm wrong and I'll always trust Howie's move, but curious how you guys feel about the mock. Would you give up 2 firsts and a third for Surtain? I mean, I guess I can see the point from some saying Slay's getting older, so you gotta find a replacement, plus Bradbury's already on the other side of 30. However, I'm loving the small sample size that we've seen from Eli Ricks so far. Disclaimer, no, I did not just call Eli Ricks the next Patrick Surtain, but it's nice to do more with less, so to speak. Although perhaps there's another solution if Howie's set on adding a corner, with reports coming in that the Birds really like Colts Pro Bowl cornerback Kenny Moore. Yet worth mentioning that it's unknown if Moore is available. Colts fans, however, quickly confirmed he's not available though, which makes me want him even more. I mean, it never hurts to ask. And Moore's someone I've talked about in the past since the 5'9", 28-year-old was named to the Pro Bowl in 2021, and despite having a bit of a down year last year, has really elevated his game this season, registering 46 tackles, 3 passes defensed, and 1 interception while allowing an 82.5 passer rating this year. Plus, with this being the final year of his contract, Indianapolis could potentially be looking to get something in return for the 7-year vet. Now sure, the Colts are 3-4, so technically still in the playoff hunt, but with Shane Steichen announcing that quarterback Anthony Richardson will have season-ending surgery on a shoulder, it feels like the writing's on the wall to perhaps shift their focus toward the horizon and maybe end up selling. Although they did play the Cleveland Stains really close with Minshew, so who knows. But Moore was particularly active in that game, registering 10 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, and 2 QB hits to lead all DBs in the NFL with 7 tackles for loss this season, which is why it probably comes as no surprise that I agree with the Philly Voice's Jimmy Kempski, who also believes this could be a potential move and good fit, saying Moore is one of the best cornerbacks in the league and even made the NFL's top 100 list a season ago. So this seems like a pretty obvious fit, with Moore being a savvy veteran player whose teammates seem to love him and can fit into any locker room culture. Again, I don't know if you really need to make this move, nor do I think it's entirely realistic, but it at least makes a lot more sense than a Surtain deal. Yet if I had to choose a position to add depth, I think my number one priority is O-line depth, because as we've seen, the running numbers have decreased without Cam Jurgens in the lineup, and tackle Jack Driscoll was less than acceptable in limited work covering for Lane Johnson, which is why I'd probably go with that area as the one to shore up. But go ahead and let me know which player you think Howie will acquire before the trade deadline. And if you get it right, I'll ship you this Howie shirt, or we'll do a drawing as always if there are multiple winners. Alright, let's take a look at the official injury report released by the Eagles, with the good news being Reed Blankenship, like I mentioned earlier, being a full go. However, we had several additions in James Bradbury and Zach Cunningham who are dealing with an ankle, and then Jordan Davis was limited with a hamstring while Milton Williams continues to rehab a heel. Oh yeah, and just in case anyone was wondering about Jalen's non-injury injury to his knee, multiple beat writers suggested he was wearing a small brace at practice, but he wasn't listed on the injury report, so shouldn't be concerned. And going back to the other official injuries listed, personally it feels like Williams should be good to go since we've seen Philly employ the limited participation approach to give guys rest and make sure they can play on game day. But we'll continue to monitor the ankles with linebacker Zach Cunningham and James Bradbury, with those injuries happening in Thursday's practice. Honestly, not a huge surprise that Bradley Roby was a DNP, as I'd expect him to not return until after the bye, especially with Eli Ricks and Sidney Brown proving to be more than capable in the slot. And then you also add Byard into the mix, and I think we're going to be just fine. The Commanders may not be so fortunate. As Brandon Lee Gouton shared, starting cornerback Benjamin St. Juste was a new addition to Thursday's report, being limited with a thigh issue. And BSJ has played well this year, allowing just 73.5 passer rating when targeted, so if he can't play, the Commanders could have to turn turn back to utilizing recently benched 2023 first-round pick Emmanuel Forbes, which I think we all remember how that one went, with Swole Batman issuing Forbes his welcome to the NFL moment and leaving him crying on the sidelines. So surely they won't match him up with AJ again. Either way, I'm not too worried about the game with the Commanders despite it going into overtime last time, and really think we'll come out hungry and take care of business. By the way, just a reminder, we'll be live streaming the game while providing play-by-play, reactions, and giving away an Eagles jersey to a lucky winner at the end of the third quarter. So would love to see you guys there as we move to 7-1. This has been the Philly Special.